will be going on, but so let's have it anyway.
All right.
All right. So
We'll be going on, but
all right. Without further ado, because I need to step away by one. Okay, great. I only have like 40 minutes for this today. So my kids' school, they're coming off early today, so I'll need to go and grab them. All right, so we have been on this journey, on this book reviewing. Welcome, welcome. I know, right? Mother's Duty. Yes, happy to do that. Yes, so we've been on this book, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And there's a lot of principles and techniques that we can definitely imbibe in our daily activities, fundamental techniques, ways to make people like you, how to win people to your own way of thinking. And that's where we are right now. And we're concluding the last 5 principles in that part, and that is part 3. We're going to be moving to part 4 next week. And that's mostly why I didn't want to cancel. I want us to move to the next one. So this one, how to win people to your way of thinking. We've dealt with principles 1 through 7, and we're going through principle 8 through 12 today. We know that we've talked about avoiding argument as much as possible. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. We show respect for the other person's opinion. Never say to people, you're wrong. Right? Never tell people you're wrong. And if you are wrong, admit it quickly and swiftly, right? And then begin in a friendly way, especially when you have some form of differences to pick with somebody, like maybe they offended you and you want to, pick up things with them, or maybe they, on your business, they came off very rude or whatever, or they give you bad review or some form of feedback that is not good for business, right? Starts in a friendly way anyways. And then principle 5, get the other person saying yes immediately. This works very well in prospecting, in sales. When you're trying to make sales, get them saying yes first, and don't move away from anything that you will ask them that will make them say no. So when they're on the roller coaster, or not roller coaster, when they're on the expressway of yes, they won't be able to easily put a brake on it when it comes to you asking for their business or you asking for their partnership, right? So it's really good. And then principle 6, let the other person do a great deal of the talking. When part of what we do is educating our customers or prospective partners, right? So let them say what their issues were, especially when you're there to provide solutions, to recommend products. Let them say what their challenges are. And then once they land, they'll be able to talk themselves, into a solution, asking you like, okay, come to my rescue now. And then let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers, right? Especially when it comes to, dealing with your leaders. When it comes to dealing with your leaders, within your organization, business organization, or you're dealing with your boss in, corporate world, right? Ordinarily, the regular or the normal way of reacting when somebody takes credit for your idea is to say, that's my idea, they're taking credit for it. No, you're there as a subordinate to that manager. You're there to make them shine. And when you are open to have them shine with your idea, you're going to see that they will be more open to come to you, and they want you closer to them. And that means promotion for you. So don't feel bad when people take your idea and present it as theirs without giving credit. But you don't do that though. Don't take other people's ideas and not give credit. But when other people do that to you, don't take it, negatively. Rather, be more open with more ideas. Let them, take up your ideas and run with it. And if it's in business, of course, even the more, the better. So we're going into principle 8 today. And this is a formula that will work wonders for you. I really like this concluding part of it because it helps us in our human relations. Of course, the whole book is about human relations. And, like I said, Dale Carnegie's method of writing is very, very doable, right? It gives you real life scenarios that you can put yourself into and see yourself in and be able to apply these principles. Okay, so as we go, if you have any contributions, please put up your hand so I can know you want to say something, and you can put it in the chat as well. I will read it out. Please, I would love to hear from you. All right, principle 8, it says, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view, right? And it's really, I love a way that one of my coaches does this. There is this a picture that has two people standing, opposite each other, facing each other. And in between them is a number. To the person by the right, they could see 6, whereas to the person by the left, they're seeing 9, right? And the person on the right is saying, this is number 6. The person on the left is saying, this is number 9. And if you could try and just go in, from the perspective of the person on the right, you will see what they're saying, that yes, this number is 6. But if you now change position and come into the perspective, from the position of the person on the left, you will see that what they're saying is number 9. So it's often like that, even in the world. And I don't know where I was sharing this. I was sharing with someone of late that, okay, yes, it was one of our coaching sessions, right? I was sharing with that person that I remember when I was growing up, like early teens, like even preteens, when I was living with my sister then, whenever I get in trouble, they would say I was lying, but deep down inside of me, what I was saying is my truth. That was my own perspective of seeing it. Though an adult would see it as a lie, but as a child at that time, that was my truth. To me, I was not lying. So from that moment on, from that, when I was experiencing that, I get in a lot of trouble because they would tell me I was lying. And I'm like, no, this is and I won't change my story because that is the truth for me, right? So I made up my mind at that time that I will always hear my children out, that I will never assume they did something because they want to be bad or whatever, but I will always hear them out. All right. So that it's really helping me now because I don't jump into conclusion. If anybody comes to tell me they did something, I will hear them out. And by the time I hear them out, I realize, yes, they're making sense, right? So it also applies in business, right? So we must be able to see things from the other person's point of view as well. Remember that other people may be totally wrong, but they don't think so. That's the point. They may be wrong. You that knows more than them, you that's seen possibly but at that particular point in time, except for people that are, pathological liars and they know they're lying, but people that, innocently, what they are saying to them at that particular point in time is the truth to them, but they don't think so. Don't condemn them. Any fool can do that. And that's, he knows how to hammer this in, that the normal reaction, knee-jerk reaction of everybody is a fool's reaction. He says any fool can do that. Why we are learning this? Like, for example, your, social media selling and, customer, dealing with customer and all of that. And from nowhere, they've not used your product. They've not bought from you, but they had an opinion. They were voicing, whatever their experience had been, maybe with a prior company or with other products, and they come to your page and spewing nonsense. To you, that is nonsense, but to them, that was their experience, right? But instead of condemning them, we need to try to understand them. He says, only wise, tolerant, exceptional people even try, even attempt to do that. And that's why we are reading this book, so that we can be the wise, the tolerant, and the exceptional, network marketer, so that we can be the wise, the tolerant, and exceptional parent to our children and spouse and all of that, okay? So that's why we are here. There's another quote I want to, pick up a little bit before we go on. He says, in his book, Getting Through to People, Dr. Gerald S. Nirenberg commented, cooperativeness in conversation is achieved when you show that you consider the other person's ideas and feelings as important as your own. Starting your conversation by giving the other person the purpose or direction of your conversation, governing what you say by what you would want to hear if you are the listener, and accepting his or her viewpoints will encourage the listener to have an open mind to your ideas. Absolutely. This is particularly very, very applicable, in raising children. When they know you want to listen to them, when they know you are there, you have their back no matter what, they will open up to you. And then, of course, with your team members, when they know that you're objective and you really, really genuinely wants to hear what they have to say, they will come forth and voice their opinion. Okay, so seeing things through another person's eyes may ease tensions when personal problems become overwhelming. Absolutely. Now, I love this. It says, tomorrow, before asking anyone to put out a fire or buy your product or contribute to your favorite charity, why not pause and close your eyes and try to think the whole thing through from another person's point of view? Ask yourself, why should he or she want to do it? Why should this person buy my product? True. This will take time, but it will avoid making enemies and we get better results, and with less friction and less shoe leather. So definitely being able to put ourselves in other person's point of view will help us. Number one, in sales, you would have the a better presentation as far as ads is concerned, because you would present to them what they want to see. Okay, you'll be able to tailor your ads to what they want to see. right? It's like customization. You'll be able to customize your posting, customize your ads to what they want to see. So where most of us get caught, especially I've seen myself do that a lot, is I put out what I know will be appealing to me. That will not sell. We have heard that times and times in training before. You don't post ads, you don't do paid ads or even regular ads or posting the way you want to be sold to. You have to identify who are my clients, who are my customers, and have an avatar, right? This person is a stay-at-home mom. You know, even if you are not a stay-at-home mom, but the people you're targeting, they are stay-at-home moms. They want extra, they want, you know, a source of income that will not take their attention away from their home, that they can run from their home, right? These folks you want to target, like, for example, we are, you know, marketing premium product. You want to target folks that can afford your product, right? We did this exercise earlier on, and I'm sure, you know, the video should be available, you know, on the YouTube page of The Untamed, right? How do you create your ads? Who are your target audience? You don't target people like you if those are not the type of people you're targeting. So you begin to identify and define the kind of people you want to, you know, target in your ads, and those are the ones that would now determine how you word your ads, how you word everything you want to put, you know, in how you want to word things that you're presenting in your ads and in your posting. So definitely, to be able to win and make sales and, you know, be successful in marketing, we have to see things from the other people's point of view, you know, as far as business is concerned. And as far as relationship is concerned, we have to give people benefit of a doubt. And I said I love this portion because it touched on the latter part of this principles 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It touched on few things that will really, I believe, might change the way we think, the way we see other people. And that if that could be achieved, you know, that's something that would serve us a great deal, you know. So as we continue, you know, working on how to influence, you know, other people and win more customers and win more friends. All right. So that is that on, you know, principle number 8. Now we go into principle 9, and that is what everybody wants. What is it? Be sympathetic. Be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. What do they want, right? And be ready to cater to that. He said 3/4 of the people you will ever meet are hungering and thirsting for sympathy. Give it to them and they will love you. There is this story here. All right, so let's see. He says, I once gave a broadcast about the author of Little Women, Lucia May Alcott. Naturally, I knew she had lived and written her immortal books in Concord, Massachusetts, but without thinking what I was saying, I spoke of visiting her old home in Concord, New Hampshire. So basically misspoke and misplaced somebody's hometown. If I had said New Hampshire only once, it might have been forgiven. But alas and alack, I said it twice. I was deluged with letters and telegrams, stinging messages that swirled around my defenseless head with a swarm of hornets. Many were indignant, a few insulting. One colonial dame, who had been reared in Concord, Massachusetts, and who was then living in Philadelphia, vented a scorching wrath upon me. She couldn't have been much more bitter if I had accused Miss Alcott of being a cannibal from New Guinea. As I read the letter, I said to myself, thank God I am not married to that woman. Oh my, I felt like writing and telling her that although I had made a mistake in geography, she had made a far greater mistake in common courtesy. That was to be just my opening sentence. Then I was going to roll up my sleeves and tell her what I really thought, but I didn't. I controlled myself. I realized that any hot-headed fool could do that, and that most fools would do just that. We have a lot of fools on social media, point blank. A lot of fools, and you will see when, these people coming to make comments under your post, saying terrible things, right? And then you see other people queuing behind them. It's just terrible out there. Now, if this had happened to you, say, you made a, simple mistake in your ad, for example, you posted the ad. A similar thing happened to me. I posted, I posted my ad and somebody just came on there and was just like, and people were saying like, interested, more info, please, because that's what I asked them to say from the ad. And, this lady just came. I eventually realized, because I went to her page, I realized that she's into hard copy writing and all of that. She does social media marketing. So she just came in like, oh, you fools, what are you doing? What are you interested in? What did she say she's selling that you guys are interested in? Or what did she say in her ads, this terrible ads, blah, 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 blah. She just did that. And I just went in there. I think I've shared it with us before. I just went in there, I told her, like, I didn't point it to me. I just told her, you cannot come in here and insult my, my potential clients or customers, and then she was like, oh, see, you quickly jumped at that. She just went off on me and things. So I just forgot, just closed it. I love that you're respectful of, people on this page. And then I went to her DM. I'm like, what's your problem? What's going on? Of course, I've not read this book. I have not read this book. I'm like, you cannot just come and be insulting, on my page like that. I paid for that ad, right? So it's like you're coming into my store, a physical shop, and telling the customers that are, trying to price my merchandise, and you are telling them they are fools for doing that. I said, I'm paying for this. So what's your take here? Right? And eventually she now came out and that's not how to write ads and da, da, da. I'm like, okay, thank you for letting me know. At that particular point in time, if she had done a good job, I could have employed her and say, oh, okay, you do this now. Can you do a better job? But she didn't present things in a way that will make me want to even do business with her. Now, if I've read this book earlier, maybe I will have done it, of course I will have done it in a more finer way, but we cannot run away from such. So we can learn from here now so that we can definitely, present, better and allow, for us in the handling of such confrontations, we'll be able to influence the person or even make friends out of them. So let's see this encounter of Mr. Carnegie here. He said, I wanted to be above fools. He said, most fools would do just that, and just, blow them off, write terrible letter back to them. He says, I wanted to be above fools. So I resolved to try to turn her hostility into friendliness. It will be a challenge, a sort of game I could play. I said to myself, after all, if I were she, I'll probably feel just as she does. So I determined to sympathize with her viewpoint. The next time I was in Philadelphia, I called her on the telephone. The conversation went something like this. Mrs. So-and-so, you wrote me a letter a few weeks ago and I want to thank you for it. She said, in a well-bred tones, to whom have I the honor of speaking? Here, this is interesting, the way she answered her call here. I don't know how you answer a a number you don't know. But I've heard myself pick up a call, and the very first thing is after saying, oh, good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, I don't know who this is. Please, can you identify yourself? I love the way she answered this call right here. Hello, how are you? To whom have I the honor of speaking? It's, it will make the other person feel, like $1,000,000. To whom have I the honor of speaking? Instead of saying, who is this? I don't know if anybody is on that table with me. You pick up the phone of somebody you don't know, and you don't recognize the number. You don't recognize the number. And the next thing is, hello, who is speaking, please? Or who is this? Instead of saying that, just go, hello. They will say hello. And then, to whom have I the honor of speaking, please? So, the tone will, by the time the tone returns too, it will be nice, right? So definitely, I'm learning something here. Now, it says then, Mr. Dale responded, I'm a stranger to you. My name is Dale Carnegie. You listened to a broadcast I gave about Louisa May Alcott. I'm not doing that again. I know, like, hello, who is this? I don't know who's speaking, all that. It's just, we need to be more cultured. And, the other day I was teaching my kids how to, like telephone etiquette. This is one of it. You don't just pick up the phone. Hello, who is this? All right. So, yeah. Now, you listened to a broadcast I gave about Lucia May Alcott a few Sundays ago, and I made the unforgivable blunder, rather, of saying that she had lived in Concord, New Hampshire. It was a stupid blunder. Now, you can see here how Dale is trying to sympathize with this woman's point of view. And I want to apologize for it, and it was so nice of you to take the time to write me. Then she said, I'm so sorry, Mr. Carnegie. That I wrote as I did. I lost my temper. I must apologize. See what he did there? By saying, I agree with you. That was stupid of me. I apologize. She came back apologizing right there. And then Mr. Carnegie said, no, you're not the one to apologize. I am. Any school child will have known better than to have said what I said. I apologize over the air the following Sunday, and I want to apologize to you personally now. Then she went, I was born in Concord, Massachusetts. My family has been prominent in Massachusetts affairs for 2 centuries, and I'm very proud of my native state. I was really quite distressed to hear you say that Miss Alcott had lived in New Hampshire, but I am really ashamed of that letter. Then, Mr. Carnegie, I assure you that you were not 1/10 as distressed as I am. My error didn't hurt Massachusetts, but it did hurt me. It is so seldom that people of your standing and culture take the time to write people who speak on the radio. And I do hope you will write me again if you detect an error in my talks. Then she said, I really like very much the way you have accepted my criticism. You must be a very nice person. I should like to know you better. See how she turned hostility to friendliness. So because I had apologized and sympathized with her point of view, she began apologizing and sympathizing with my point of view. I had the satisfaction of controlling my temper, the satisfaction of returning kindness for an insult. I got infinitely more real fun out of making her like me than I could ever have gotten out of telling her to go and take a jump in the Schuylkill River, right? So definitely is something we must learn, take a leaf of from this book. And then concluding this part, and if anybody wants to chime in, I am open, please, let's chime in. Dr. Arthur I. Gates said in his splendid book, Educational Psychology, sympathy, the human species universally craves. The child eagerly displays his injury or even inflicts a cut or bruise in order to reap abundant sympathy. For the same purpose, adults show their bruise, relate their accident, illness, especially details of surgical operations. Self-pity for misfortunes, real or imaginary, is in some measure practically a universal practice. So instead of telling them they are looking for self-pity, they are looking for pity party, show sympathy, right? Instead of accusing people of, looking for pity party, show sympathy. They crave, it's human to crave sympathy. So let's be human to give it. Or, as much as it lies in our power to do. Right? How will they how will they learn? Definitely, right? It depends on the scenario, of course. Not that they are in the wrong all together, right? And then you're, patting them on the head. Diana, can you, if you can speak on maybe specific scenario, right? If you can speak on, now we're talking depending, if you have somebody that is pathological, faking things just to grab attention, that's different than somebody that's genuinely, desire to be sympathized with, right? So definitely, if you have somebody that is professional, professional glooming person, and all they know is just to showcase their, like we've learned on this book club, that nobody is interested in your misfortune, right? We've learned it, that for us, you as a person, it's not for you to go into groups, into talking to people in your organization all about the woes and the things that are befalling you. That's not our business. But some people want to do that until they learn. Sympathize with them. And of course, such people, know how to manage your time. You don't give, these people, they want sympathy, give them the sympathy and move on, right? And concentrate on folks that are there to get the job done, all right? And not now, while you are away from them, now referencing them that they are just looking for sympathy. No, that would be the wrong way of doing it either. Give them the sympathy they crave and let them be, and then move on. You don't have to refer to them that they are the lazy sympathy seeker or whatever. No, work with the people that are ready now, right? And show sympathy to those that are giving you reasons why they can't do what you want them to do right now, right? So definitely, and yeah. All right. So thank you for that. It's definitely practical. It's practical because we all need this. We all need to be sympathized with. But there are some people that's what gives them life, it seems. They want everybody to sympathize with them, whereas they're not pulling their weight. It could weigh heavy on other people. So I totally understand. And we're going to be rounding up in 5 minutes because I need to run while I don't have time. Yeah, are you saying that people give excuses as to why they don't have time? Right. All right. So principle number 10, I'll quickly run through 10, 11, 12. Number 10 says, appeal to the nobler motives. This one. It says a person usually have two reasons for doing a thing, one that sounds good and a real one. Now, if you're a kind of person that always think that is more susceptible to think the worst of people, this will help. Abi, how do I put it more nicely? You know, what they're saying here is pick up the habit or the habit. Let me just leave it that like that. Pick up the habit of thinking that people have a good reason for doing what they're doing. Have the more nobler motives. Appeal to the more nobler motives they present to you. Appeal to the more nobler motives that you see, you know, that they, you know, whatever they're doing. Let's look at an example. Is that too idealistic to work in business? Let's see. Let's take the case of Hamilton J. Farrell of the Farrell Mitchell Company of Gonelden, Pennsylvania. Mr. Farrell had a disgruntled tenant who threatened to move. The tenant's lease still had 4 months to run. Nevertheless, he served notice that he was vacating immediately regardless of lease. Now, this you can apply to any, you know, any scenario, right? These people had lived in my house all winter, the most expensive part of the year. Mr. Farrell said, as he told the story to the class, and I knew it would be difficult to rent the apartment again before fall. I could see all that rent income going over the hill, and believe me, I saw red. Now, ordinarily, I would have waded into that tenant and advised him to read his lease again. Of course, it's in the lease. If you break the lease, all the rent is due at once. However, instead of flying off the handle and making a scene, I decided to try other tactics. So I started like this, Mr. Doe. I said, I have listened to your story and I still don't believe you intend to move. Years in the renting business have taught me something about human nature, and I sized you up in the first place as being a man of your word. In fact, I'm so sure of it that I'm willing to take a gamble. And I think in network marketing, this is one of the reasons why they say when you are onboarding a new partner, let them tell you what their motives are. That is, what was their goal? You know, basically, when I was listening to this, my thought was so that you can blackmail them and say, you said you are joining this business for this to achieve this goal. Some people can use it that way. But the most important and effective way to look at it is to appeal to that motive, appeal to that goal, make them remember, bring them back to the state of mind they were before coming on board, before facing all of the difficulties that they're facing, so that they can, you know, bring themselves back to admitting and accepting that, yes, this is actually where I need to be or what I need to be doing. Okay. So when he said that, look at that. Look at how he, you know, he turned it around. Like, yes, you signed the lease and I take you for somebody that would, I take you for somebody that would, that's a man of their word, right? He says, but I still believe you're a man of your word and will live up to your contract. For after all, we are either men or monkeys, and the choice usually lies with ourselves, right? So they went home, thought it over, and these folks came back and they made payment, right? It says, well, when the new month came around, this gentleman came to see me and paid his rent in person. He and his wife had talked it over, and he said, and decided to stay. They had concluded that the only honorable thing to do was to live up to their lease. So he here, you know, was able to appeal to a more nobler motives. Of course, they had other motives of wanting to leave, but he appealed to a more nobler motive, and they were able to stay. All right. People are honest and want to discharge their obligations. Now, let's look at it this way. We must hold the default expectation or default assumption of people that people are honest and want to discharge their obligations. The exceptions to that rule are comparatively few. And I am convinced that the individuals who are inclined to chisel will, in most cases, react favorably if you make them feel that you consider them honest, upright, and fair. So if we approach people with the mindset that you know they are good people, right? It's what you get back will definitely give you peace of mind, right? And the response, as from what we've seen from the writing of the man and from his experience, is people are more, they are more open to that than approaching everybody, seeing everybody as liars, seeing everybody as no good, seeing everybody as wanting to take advantage of you, right? But rather see people as good, primarily, right? And then, of course, that doesn't mean you'll be vulnerable. I mean, you'll be gullible. That doesn't mean you'll be gullible and allow, everybody, anyone to cheat you, no. But rather, believe the best of people, expect the best of people. And definitely is a seed you're sowing. You will get the best out of people when that is what you're sowing. And then principle 11, this one is super straightforward. He says, dramatize your ideas. The movies do it. They dramatize ideas to us all the time. All this agenda, when they want us to adopt some form of agenda, they will put it in movies. They will dramatize it for us, right? Before you know it, you begin to adopt it. And then the TV and commercials, they do it. Then why don't you, right? And that is to dramatize your ideas. In your business, dramatize the use. And that's why, whenever we have new product or even the product we have right now, they will say, use it, take pictures with it, do video with it. That's dramatizing. It's very, very essential in business. And lastly, throw down a challenge when nothing else works. Okay. And I love this story very, very well. Charles Schwab, he had a mill manager whose people weren't producing their quota of work, right? So these, we work within teams, right? Especially in network marketing. And especially when you have a team that are driven and moved by challenges, right? So here he was worried that this manager is not producing enough. And then one day, he visited this mill, and he got talking to one of the people on the floor, and he asked them, how many hits did your shift make today? They said 6. Without another word, Schwab chalked a big 6 figure on the floor and walked away, like where everybody would see it. When the night shift came in, they saw the number 6 and asked what it meant. The big boss was in here today, the day people said. He asked us how many hits we made, and we told him 6. He chalked it down on the floor. The next morning, Schwab walked through the mill again. The night shift had rubbed out 6 and replaced it with a big 7. So they were doing this, and at the end of the day, the crew, so the night shift thought they were better than the day shift they did, than the day shift did they? Well, they would show the night shift a thing or two. The crew pitched in with enthusiasm. And when they quit that night, they left behind them an enormous swaggering 10. Things were stepping up, right? So shortly, this mill, which had been lagging way behind in production, was turning out more than any other in the plant. So what's the principle? The way to get things done, says Schwab, is to stimulate competition. I do not mean in a sordid, money-getting way, but in the desire to excel. The desire to excel, the challenge, throwing down the government, an infallible way of appealing to people's spirit. So throw down a challenge with your team. You're looking to definitely get them, to produce. All right. I think that's where we're going to anchor it today. I see 2 Agneses in the house. Hello, hello, hello. Agnes Shaba. What's going on? I see a Mac Ashaba. Agnes Ashaba, welcome, welcome. How are you today? All right, excellent. All right, I thought you wanted to speak. You are unmuted. Okay, awesome. Nice to have you on. All right, thank you. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for coming. Hopefully we have picked a thing or two. I know at least we have, from the feedback, we've picked a thing or two, and I know it's going to make us much better for it. So we're going to continue to part 4 next week by the grace of God. So I want to wish you all happy closing. It's closing day. Happy closing and great and successful end of the month. You are welcome, Shakira. All right. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you next week. All righty. You are welcome.